Hey guys, welcome back to our Walking Dead All-Out War campaign playthrough here. Today we are on Chapter 6 of the Made to Suffer expansion. And this is called Pre-Emptive Strike. Before I go into the description of the game here, look at that mat. This is one of our new mats from P-Work War Games. Make sure you go down and check out the description, and there's a link to their site and a discount code that you can use to get 10% off of your playmats. So, this mission says, with the governor's army regrouping, Michonne persuades Tyreese to help her launch a daring raid on the governor's camp. When the governor realizes what's happening, he fights back furiously, capturing Tyreese in order to make an example of him to the prison group. So that's where we are here. And we have two play groups. We're going to have, you'll see them coming into shot there, Michonne and Tyreese in the back there. We got Raymond out there in the dead center of the board, and he's going to act as a sentry in this game. And then back there we have Brian's group back at the camp. So we're going to have Brian, Gabe, Gloria, Bob, and Curtis. And in a second we'll cut over and I'll explain how each of those guys are armed and equipped. But for now, let's stick here to the board and we'll finish explaining the scenario. So in this mission, we're not going to start with any walkers on the board. So no walkers and no supply counters are going to be used in this game. The threat level is going to be set to 1, and we're going to have night fighting in play to start the game. So the objectives are for Michonne and Tyreese to go over and remove Brian Blake from play because he is the leader of the AI group here. And for the Brian's team, we're going to be using the No One Stands Alone expansion rules to control them. And then for Brian's team to win, they have to capture Tyreese. So in order to capture him, they need to get in melee combat, knock him prone, and when he would be killed in combat, instead he's just going to be captured. And at that point, they would win the game. If the threat tracker manages to max out at 18, or neither team is able to capture the other person as leader, or remove them from play, the game will be a draw and neither side is going to win. So with that being said, let's go ahead and start out turn 1. And looking at the characters here, we're going to have Brian Blake leading his team, and this is the mutilated and merciless version of him. He's going to be armed with the greatest weapon in the game, which is the Gator Pro. Gives him 2 extra red die and a set of riot gear. Next up we have Gabe. Gabe has the felling axe, which is going to give him 2 additional white dice added to his melee attacks. Gloria has an M4 carbine, which will give her an extra white die to her shooting, and it is multiple shots too. Bob is a support character. He's going to try to follow around the governor and just use his bandages to keep Brian at full health. Curtis is a runner. He's back there. The No One Stands Alone rules say that runners should be equipped with armor, so we gave him a set of body armor. Raymond is our sentry out there in the middle of the board, a runner also. He is also wearing body armor and is armed with a 9mm pistol, giving him 2 more red dice. Tyreese is over here leading his team. He's going to be the prison advisor version. He has riot gear, a riot helmet, Tyreese's hammer, giving him an extra white die to his melee, and then we gave him a small knife so that we can benefit from the dual wield special rule. And lastly, we have Michonne over here, armed to the teeth. So Michonne has her katana. She's also wearing riot gear with a riot helmet. She has the distract veteran skill, which I don't know if we'll get to use in this, and then spoiler alert, stick around for the end. She has that concealed blade. Guys, don't sleep on that. For 4 points, if you can get a guaranteed extra wound added in, take it. So for turn 1, we're going to go over to Brian's team and start with Gloria. And Gloria is a marksman, and using the No One Stands Alone rules, marksmen have to take a shot at the closest enemy unit to them. We can't see them though because of the trees and night fighting, so what she's going to do is just make a 4-inch sneak move forward. And over here on this side, we're going to go with Tyreese. And remember, Raymond is on sentry duty out there, and what we don't want to do is, 1, get within line of sight of him, which is going to be anything 8 inches or closer because of night fighting. We can go into the forest because we'll be in cover, so we'll be okay there. We don't want to create noise or mayhem within 8 inches of him, and we don't want the threat level to get up to high. So threat level still being on 1, we're going to get Tyreese to make a run action to get just on the edge of that tree line right there and still be outside of the 8-inch noise limit. Alright, next we're going to take Gabe, and Gabe, being a bruiser, wants to go up and get into melee combat as soon as possible. So he's going to go and move as far as he can, which is just 3 inches because of his sheer body weight. He's going to take 3 inches forward and move up there near the governor. Michonne is also going to go ahead and run 8 inches. She's going to run along the edge of the table there, though, not right up next to Tyreese. Alright, so that's going to leave us with, from the governor's team, runners and support characters. Now, using these no one stands alone rules, the runners typically only want to go get supply counters and not become engaged in combat or anything like that. Raymond is a runner. There's nothing for him to run after, so we're going to play him as a tactician. And that's going to have him go after the objective, which in this case is to capture Tyreese. So that's what he's going to try to do. We are going to make a 4-inch sneak action forward to try and get close enough to maybe take a shot with his pistol. And that 4 inches brings Raymond just there to the edge of the tree line. We can see the marker back there showing that Tyreese has been activated, but I don't think he's able to see Tyreese through the trees. So no shot this time. Alright, back here now, we're still going to have Curtis, Bob, and the governor to go ahead and activate. All we're going to do with these guys is everyone's going to make a 4-inch move forward towards the center of the board. We're not going to do it individually. Move them all at once. Try and speed this game along. Alright, so after a fairly uneventful turn 1, you can see that we just did a lot of player movement there. We got no melee combat. There's no walkers to check kill zones for. So we're going to go right into our first event card. Which is too quiet, so +1 to the threat takes us to 2. And the walker suddenly stop and nothing seems to happen. Add 1 to the threat level, so we'll just go right up to 3. And so after the event card, the threat stands at 3. We have, again, no melee combat to be involved in, no prone walkers to roll for, no bites to roll for. So because night fighting is in play and we're doing a solo game, we're going to up the threat by 2, taking us all the way to 5. We'll now be in low threat, and we'll get right into turn 2. And at the start of turn 2, the threat is up to 5. We're going to start out with Tyreese this time around, and he's going to make a run action to go up and engage Raymond in melee combat. Alright, so what we're going to do is go ahead and take Gloria from the governor's team, and again, 4 inches forward, and we're going to have to see if that will get her close enough to be able to take a shot at him. There you can see Gloria moves up 4 inches, and because night fighting is in play, remember, range is reduced to 8 inches. So Tyreese is going to be just outside of her line of sight. She can see Raymond. She may know that he is kind of in trouble, but we can't see Tyreese to be able to take that shot in this turn. And Michonne back here kind of lurking around that side of the board. She is going to go and make another 8-inch run action over there towards the smaller band of trees. Alright, Gabe is going to go and make a 3-inch move up there towards Michonne, who is now flanking in on the team from the top of the map. And again, we have Bob, Curtis, and the governor left over. They're all going to concentrate their attention towards the middle of the board and follow Gloria to go see what Raymond is dealing with. So 4-inch move for all of those guys. So with that, we have all of our player actions again for turn 2. A little bit more exciting this time around. At least we got some melee combat coming out of there. We still have no walkers on the board to check kill zones for, so we're going to go right into the second event card. And we have the hunger. So again, we are low threat, so +1 to the threat takes us up to 6. And we have each player moves 1 eligible walker towards the nearest survivor. We don't have any walkers, but we're going to go ahead and bring them on the board. And we went ahead and brought on a walker from the middle of the bottom of the table and middle of the top. Moved 1 guy towards Bob, and we'll get around here to him eventually. There he is. That guy came on and moved around there towards Michonne. So we do have some melee combat this time around. we will up the threat again to 1 by 1 to 7. And we're going to have Tyreese against Raymond. We're going to do a little bit different this time around. At the beginning of the game, I went over what each person was equipped with. So I'm not going to explain what all the dice rolls are going to be, because you can go back and know what they were from the beginning. But just know that we're going to have Tyreese against Raymond. So Tyreese unsurprisingly wins combat there, dealing 3 wounds to Raymond, and because of the bludgeon rule and the hammer, knocks him prone. And here's our board at the end of turn 2. Raymond's knocked prone. Everyone's run up the middle of the board, and Michonne is trying to come around the side right there. No prone walkers, no bites to roll for. Up the threat by 2 to 9, and we will be in top medium threat going into turn 3. And at the start of turn 3, threat is up to 9. Back to the governor's team for initiative. We're going to start out with Raymond, who is going to use his first action to stand up, and second action to take a shot with his handgun at Tyreese there, who we can now see because we're basically at point blank range. And so the shot deals 1 point of damage to Tyreese, who is left with 6 wounds left. The Mayhem is going to pull in the closest walkers around him within 10 inches and push the threat up by 1 to 10. No one stands alone rules say that marksmen have silencers on their rifles, so they only create noise, but it doesn't say anything for runners or tacticians or anyone else. So we're going to play it and say that his weapon goes and creates mayhem. Michonne is going to go ahead now and seize the opportunity to rush the governor. She is just inside of 8 inches, so she's going to make a run action and come into contact with him. Gloria is going to make a 4-inch sneak action over in front of the governor there and then take a shot at Tyreese. So she moves over there. She has a nice unobstructed line of view now within 8 inches. So the M4 is multiple shots. So now we'll go ahead and take 2 shots at Tyreese. And Gloria takes both shots, and Tyreese loses 1 point of health, and the noise created from her rifle is going to draw in the closest walker to her. And we're just going to balance that there for a second just so you can see that Tyreese is going to use his athletic ability, which allows him to make a 10-inch run as opposed to a regular 8-inch run, and he is going to run 10 inches to come into contact with Brian as well. I know you can't run through enemies there, so even if he has to go an inch around Raymond, he'll still have enough to get into base-to-base contact. And back here, everyone being the good soldiers that they are, Gabe, Bob, and Curtis are all going to sneak, or in Gabe's case, run to get into contact into this melee. Alright, so I know I'm going to have to break this up when it comes to splitting off combats, but maybe this wasn't such a good idea now that I look at it. Either way, we've got no kill zones to check for. We're going to go into our third event card. And it is, there's a storm coming. So +1 to the threat will take us up to 11. We are in medium threat now, so the tension reaches a fever pitch. Add +1 to the threat, which will take us to 12. Immediately draw 2 more event cards, applying the results one at a time. All right, here we go. +1 to the threat again. 13. Medium level white walkers enter play from each table edge. And just to back that out, we brought on 1 walker in the center of each side of the board. Next event card. Mega Herd. Alright. Herd of walkers enter play. Player with initiative, which is the governor, places the first walker using the normal rules. Players alternate placing all remaining walkers on the same edge. And then the opposing player, which is Tyreese, will nominate a point 10 inches and move everyone there. We are now in medium threat still, so we're going to bring on 6 total walkers. All right, and we brought on a whole ton of walkers back there behind the camp. Remember back when this game started and there were no walkers on the table? And now there's a lot of walkers on the table. Let's be done with the event phase and go into melee combat. We're going to up the threat by 1 again. We are at the top of high threat at 14. And we're going to start out with Spin around here to it. Hopefully we'll be able to see it. Sort of. Raymond against 1 Walker there. And Raymond would take 1 damage, but because of his body armor, he takes none. And now Gloria will take on a single Walker. And they tie combat, so we just move him back an inch and everyone stays standing. Now down here for this one, we're going to go ahead and split this combat out. So we're going to have Michonne against the governor because they're the only people that are touching right there. And then we're going to have Tyreese against Bob, Curtis, and Gabe. Alright, so we give these guys some space in between them. And we're going to go ahead and start with Michonne against the governor. And at the end of the melee roll, I'm going to put the dice out there so you can see what happened. Michonne rolls 7 successes with 2 headshots. You can only add in the 1 extra, so we have 8 total successes for Michonne against 3 for Brian. Michonne deals 5 wounds, which would take Brian down to his last remaining wound, but Michonne is going to choose to use the Concealed Blade. And it says discard this card after winning a combat while attacking. 1 enemy survivor in contact loses 1 extra point of health. That deals 6 points of health to Brian, taking him out of the game. Alright, so at this point, Tyrese's team is going to win the game because they were able to take the governor out. But I still want to roll to see what happens in the combat with Tyreese, especially with him being so outnumbered, and Gabe is carrying the felling axe, which is going to give him a ton of dice to roll in melee. So the governor's team may still be able to take out Tyreese. And at that point, I would just call the game a draw because we got rid of everyone. So we're going to go ahead and roll for that, and I'll put the dice out to show you what the results are going to be. Alright, so I don't know what happened there. We rolled a whole Yahtzee of blanks for the governor's team. Maybe they were all afraid after seeing Michonne slice the governor to pieces, but they're going to lose 1 success to 7 successes plus the headshot for Tyreese for a total of 8. And we're just going to go ahead and remove Gabe and throw some wounds onto Curtis. Alright, and at the end of turn 3, we are going to have Tyreese and Michonne come out victorious by removing the governor from play. Hope you guys enjoyed this game. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like this video, go back and watch some of the other battle reports leading up to this one. If you like this map, check out my P-Work War Games map review. We showed this one and 2 other ones that I got. Remember, check out the description below and get the discount code so that you guys can get 10% off of this mat. And I'll look to see you guys in the next battle report.